for 3 decades. I was dumb enough to help him get started, so blame me. He's a regular contributor to SportsNola.com, a co-host of the Prep Recruiting Insider Show each Wednesday night on WHNO Channel 20. This week, everything's airing at 5 p.m., as I mentioned, so check that out Wednesday at 5. Additionally, he currently serves as color analyst for Tiger Vision on LSU games and also ESPN Regional Television. And please give a warm welcome to Renee Nadeau. Renee?
Thank you, Kenny. It's always great to come here, guys. It really is, guys and ladies. You know, I always tell Kenny, I love coming here, and if you want to guarantee a full house, let everybody in free, charge them to get out. It's great to see some faces I hadn't seen in a while here, and up at the press box last night for the Saints game, it was like people who follow LSU. It was like it was a funeral going on. People in the know, if you will, in the media, was saying that LSU won't win another game the rest of the year. Okay, that could happen, I guess, but I'm not the shell answer man, so I don't know if I can give you all the answers and why LSU's not is doing as well or don't having the pretty wins thus far that they're having. Their first loss, 18 straight wins, and they lose against Florida, a pretty good Florida team. But I want to throw some stats at you if this means anything. Looking at the SEC stats, LSU is number 2 in total defense. Rush defense, there's some inconsistencies here, as you see, what I'm going to say. Rushing offense, number 5. Pass defense, number 1 in the SEC. Pass defense efficiency, number 3. Kick coverage, which is important, special teams, number 3. LSU is third in sacks with 16 quarterback sacks. 50 tackles for loss, by the way. South Carolina, who's going to be LSU's opponent, is number 1 with 25 quarterback sacks. LSU is 10th, allowing 15 sacks on their own quarterback. Defense is allowing only 30% success to opponents on third down. They've been penalized 50 times, which leads the conference. Alabama has only been penalized 20 times. Turnover plus 3. Red zone, dead last, 100%. Their opponents have scored 100% of the time in the red zone. Zach Mettenberger, who's wearing a target now, he's completing 61.8% of his tosses, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, over 1,100 yards. And I'm not saying anything that no one else knows here, but Zach is not the savior, maybe, that is not as polished as people thought he would be when he arrived. He doesn't deviate too much if he's rushed. He doesn't have the best feet. When he's got to move at all, it's a little bit of a challenge for him. But he does have some skills. And I was talking to some people before we went on, and Craig Thorpe, people are saying, well, is he being coached properly? Having talked to the players and having talked to people in the NFL, Craig Thorpe is very well respected in the coaching circles, for what that's worth. One thing he doesn't have with him is he doesn't have a safety net. Last year, D'Angelo Peterson was a tight end. He had 41 grabs. Thus far, Chase Clermont's got 4 catches, and Nick Jacobs has 3. So he doesn't have that tight end that he can go to, which is also just another factor. Kevin Minter, 20 tackles, unbelievable. He's one away from the school lead, which was held by Al Richardson, set the all-time LSU tackle record, 21 against South Carolina back in 1982. Rather than give you a lot of excuses or whatever you want to say, LSU has played a lot of new guys before they were ready or before they wanted to play. They've moved some guys on the offensive line. They've moved Alex Hurst from right tackle to left tackle. They've inserted a local guy, Trey Turner, at right guard. He's a redshirt freshman. He's maybe playing significant minutes a little before he was probably anticipated. They got Vidal Alexander, right tackle, 6'6", 350, true freshman, out of Buford, Georgia, and he has actually dropped 30 pounds. He was huge when he arrived at LSU, and they expected him to kind of go through the steps, learn a little bit here and there, and now he's thrown into a starting role at right tackle against SEC opposition. Les Miles, I'll say this in his defense. He's still winning about 80% of his games since he's been on campus, and that's not bad. LSU also does not have, as Billy Dunk and I were talking about earlier, they don't have a go-to receiver. Ruben Randall's gone, and they don't have a guy that they can hang their hat on. And that's a challenge. They don't have a guy that you can get you those 5 or 6 grabs or the big plays. They don't have that guy. I'll say this, as far as LSU history, they have, they got 28 first-time players, 13 true freshmen. 13 guys are cutting their teeth on the field against SEC opposition. 12 sophomores, 10 freshmen. That's kind of tough. NFL roster, interesting. LSU has 39 players, former players, on current NFL rosters. 30 of those played for Les Miles. And if you want to use a measuring stick, I guess, Alabama is the benchmark. They have 23 players, former Alabama players, in the NFL. So if you want to compare those schools, LSU has done pretty well with the talent that turned out. Sam Montgomery told me before the season his goal was to have 15 sacks. He's got 2, so he's being chipped a lot of double. He's fighting off a lot of double team blocking and things like that. So, but the thing is, LSU has turned historically. They've got a lot of young guys in the secondary. Jalen Mills is one guy, is a true freshman that's starting right now and doing a great job. John Chavis, his specialty is defensive backfield. He's the defensive coordinator. His specialty is defensive backs. He's turned out some outstanding defensive backs that have gone on the NFL. Eric Berry, Mo Claiborne, Patrick Peterson, Tyrann Mathieu last year was there. So if LSU does specialize in something on defense, it's defensive backs. I want to talk a little bit about some of the guys that you've heard, maybe you don't know a lot about, and I just mentioned one of them a little while ago, out of DeSoto, Texas, Jalen Mills, number 28. He's 5'10", 185, got great skills. He's the kind of kid that brings a notebook and a pad everywhere he goes. He's like a sponge. He wants to get better every day. For being a little guy, he does a good job of tying up the receivers, uses his hands very well, loves to fight with the wide receivers, takes on guys bigger than him, has done a good job, reason why he's starting. Jalen Collins is a redshirt freshman out of Olive Branch, Mississippi. He's got size of a safety, about 6'2", 195. His problem has been staying low. When you're a big cornerback, 6'2" or so, you got to learn to bend your knee and stay a little bit lower. He's doing that, but he won the most improved player award during spring for the Tigers. Dwayne Thomas is a kid out of Perry Walker right here, wears number 13. Very confident kid. He's seeing the field probably sooner than they thought he would, but he's done a good job special teams. Ronald Martin is tied for the team lead with 2 interceptions with Jalen Mills. He is he was All-State in basketball, great skills. In fact, you may see him back on a basketball court before long. He played in 4 games for Trent Johnson last year, was All-State in high school. Micah Eugene, you may recall if you're a fan of the Superdome Classic, or the All-State, the state championship games. Acadiana scored the winning touchdown against West Monroe. He is a safety, number 34, and done a good job for the Tigers. Great effort. Debo Jones, y'all probably know from Jesuit High School, Deion Jones. He won't make 18 until November 4th. He's 17 years old and doing a pretty good job. He's a guy that I didn't think would get on the field this soon and playing this many reps, but he's doing a pretty good job, number 45. He's got a sub 4.5 40, and he's got the skills to play either outside linebacker, or he could even play safety. He's about 6'1", 6'2", about 205. Really, really great skills. Trey Turner is the guy I talked about, number 56. He's playing significant minutes at right tackle, and not sure if Williford is going to come back for this game or not. He had a head injury. But Trey Turner dropped about 30 pounds. He has made tremendous strides as an offensive lineman at LSU. He rooms with Lyle Collins, who you probably know, number 70, left tackle, and there's a little friendly competition going on there. Lamar Lewis is a true freshman this year, and he is one of those guys, one of those 6 true freshman linebackers that they are cross-training to play all 3 linebacker positions, not only so they can plug you in, but you can also help your teammates when you're playing Mike or outside linebacker, whatever it may be. So they're cross-training all the freshman linebackers to play all 3 linebacker spots. Nick Jacobs out of Manny, Louisiana. He's number 84, tight end, 6'5", 265. He arrived at LSU about 285, 290, thought he'd be a tackle. He's got great skills. He said he's got a 30. He's told me he's got a 38-inch vertical, and he's capable of 360 windmill dunks. He said he may try his hand at basketball before long, but he's got a tight end with that kind of size, with that kind of skill. Fidel Alexander, as I talked about a little while ago, number 78, right tackle out of Buford, Georgia. He actually, when there was competition going on between Alabama and LSU to try to get his signature last year, he actually lived in New Orleans until he was 3 years old and moved to Buford, Georgia. So he said growing up, he was an LSU fan, and it was really never any doubt in his family where he was going. But he's a little big right now, 6'6", 350. He drops another 20 or 30 pounds. I think you'll see a little quicker, and you'll see a better specimen out of number 78. Josh Williford. He's come such a long way. He's a junior, and when he went down, LSU lost a lot. He has the most knockdowns out of all the offensive linemen at LSU right now, 6'7", 335, and he's become very vocal. He's become a leader in an offensive front. Lyle Collins, out of Redemptorist High School, sophomore, 6'5", 320. Gained 35 pounds since he arrived on campus, runs a sub-5 flat 40, and he can be very, very special before he leaves Baton Rouge before he moves on. Jarvis Landry and James Wright. I talk about both those guys. Wide receivers, 82 Wright and 80 Jarvis Landry. They both love to block. You know, they're receivers. They both love to block, and you've probably seen Jarvis Landry covering kicks. He absolutely loves contact. For a guy that's 6 feet, 180 pounds, Tim Detillier at Lutcher said that he's never seen a headhunter like this, and Jarvis Landry has really, really done well as a covering kicks. And, you know, last year at this time, he missed 29 practices because of injury, so he was slow kind of getting on the field. So this is kind of like this is sophomore year, but this is, you know, he's kind of catching up last year for a lot of time he missed on the practice field. You know, the guy with the strongest arm at LSU and among the quarterbacks is a guy you probably know much about, is Gerard Randall. He's a guy out of Miami. He's about 6 foot, about 195. He can throw the ball 92 yards. Now, I know people will say, well, what does that really mean? Well, yeah, you're not going to see a lot of passes when you can air it down the field 92 yards, but he can make those tough, deep throws, those deep out patterns. He's got a strong arm. Mettenberger, by the way, told me he can throw the ball about 85 yards. But, you know, it's not so much about throwing the ball 85, 90 yards down the field. It's placement and things like that. And when you got a guy who can throw the ball that far, he's got a pretty powerful arm. Michael Ford, strongest running back. He bench presses 465. A guy who you probably heard of a little bit, Guevara Holmes, out of Breaux Bridge. They moved him from wide receiver to cornerback, and he hasn't seen the field very much. He's a 4.29 guy, great speed, and they're gonna utilize that speed at some point. Copeland, J.C. Copeland, the fullback, was a defensive tackle when he arrived at LSU, and he's an interesting guy. At 27 sacks as a senior at LaGrange, Georgia, thought he'd be a nose tackle. They moved him to fullback. He told me proudly he's busted 30 face masks already blocking for the Tigers, so he's real proud of that. So I made sure I always mention that when we talk. You know, you talk to some of the guys, the offensive linemen, you say, who's the guys who give you the most trouble at practice, and vice versa, defensive linemen with offensive linemen give you the most trouble. And the guy's name I keep hearing a lot is number 94, Daniil Hunter. He's a freshman out of Katy, Texas, about 6'6", 240. They said he's got a combination of a Kendrick Adams last year that moved on to the NFL, and Kiki Mingo's got long reach, great explosion off the line. Again, a true freshman. They're playing a lot of freshmen and not redshirting as many guys as they used to. Gerald Hawkins is a guy out at West St. Mary, wears number 65. He's got a bright future. He's about 6'6", 300 right now, and lost his dad during Labor Day weekend, and that really set him back emotionally, and the team has been his family since then, but he's really come a long way. His dad died of a heart attack, and it's really set the young man back, but they said he has tremendous skills. He could be a very special player in the very near future. Got great athleticism. In fact, he's the reigning state outdoor champion in the shot put with a throw of 53 feet. LSU does something in the fall when you arrive at camp. They test the players running 26 110-yard runs. And what they do is this. The offensive linemen, and this is consecutive, The offensive linemen have to run 110 yards in 19 seconds. Offensive, defensive linemen, fullbacks, tight ends, and linebackers have to do it in 17. Running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks, and DBs do it in 15. And the way it works is this. You run it in the specified time for your group. You have a 45-second interval, and you're heading back. That's 26 of those things, and it's tough. If you don't complete all 26, you come back the next day and do it. So that's something that players who've been at LSU are very familiar with. The 26-110s. That's Tommy Moffitt's deal. Something that I think is really neat, and sometimes doing games, I ask guys, why do you wear a certain number? Eric Reed really admired LaRon Landry and wanted number 30 to wear, but it was already taken, so he wears number 1. Jarvis Landry wears number 80 because he felt that jersey number, with Dwayne Bowe and Terrence Tolliver having worn that number, that really has a special place in the LSU among receivers. He wanted to take on the baton from those two guys and wear number 80. And the best I've ever told is Jared Fobbs, Jamal Fobbs, out of Shreveport, wears number 5. He's a wide receiver. And I asked him, why do you wear number 5? He said, when I was growing up, I was a big Superman fan, and that's the closest I can come to an S on my chest. So, anyway, don't know if you have any questions or anything, but, yes. Stephen Rivers, that's Philip Rivers' brother. He has gushed and gone on about how much Steve Kragthorpe has made a difference in his game. He told me this himself, that as far as his delivery over the top, his decisions, he said, Stephen Rivers is telling me this, I have shared this information with my brother, San Diego Chargers, Philip Rivers, and he was impressed with what he told me, for whatever that's worth. But Stephen Rivers will get his chance. He's a big kid, 6'8". Got good delivery, a lot of confidence, and his time is coming. He's biding his time, but I think his time will come, and I think he'll be a good player when he gets on the field. Yes. Well, to answer this question, they don't say that we're going to give reps to Rivers. I thought Rivers would get more reps, but the reason why they get Mettenberger so many reps is they want to make sure that he needs the reps. For a lot of people last year wonder why he didn't get on the field, there was a reason. And he needs a lot of reps for his confidence and to work on things, obviously. So to just pull him off the field and give Rivers arbitrarily just a chance to go on the field, they want to make sure that Mettenberger, if he stays healthy, he is their guy, and Rivers will get in a mop-up duty, but I don't think in significant minutes you'll see Rivers. Yeah, Bob.
All right, Renee. It seems like ever since the championship game, LSU's confidence and cockiness, so to speak, has not been there this year at all. I can't really. I don't want to. I'll put it all on Tyrann Mathieu, but he was one that really you could see having a huge confidence and really dominate a team, and I don't think I've seen that at all this year.
Well, and this might be part of the equation. They play a different schedule this year, and they really got up for Oregon last year. You can blame a lot of people. You can blame it from the top. You could say it's individual, but they've played down a little bit early in the season. They haven't played up. They beat Washington significantly, but they've played down a little bit, and I can't totally say it's any one person or people that are at fault. When you got a wide receiver or somebody that fumbles the ball or holding it wrong or dropping the ball 5 times 2 weeks ago, that after a while you got to take personal blame for a lot of these things. If you're missing tackles because you're not breaking down, you got to take some responsibility for those type of things, and coaching goes so far. And coaching can rectify some of these problems, but sometimes the players have to take personal, in that.
And my last question, do you really think the Aggies have any chance to beating the Bulldogs this Saturday?
Texas A&M? Well, Georgia got whooped last week. But that's interesting. I'm glad to see Texas A&M in the what you're talking about, Louisiana Tech. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. I'm thinking Bulldogs right away. Louisiana Tech, I've done many games there, and I'm a little person inside him is pulling for Louisiana Tech. And I got to think that it's going to be an interesting game, and he's got them playing extremely well at a very high level right now. And I would not be surprised if Louisiana Tech won that game. No, not at all. Any other questions? Thank you very much.